Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited. We're back at JTech Automotive, which can mean only one thing, RS500, big update. Let's get into it. So yes, we are here again at JTech Automotive. I promised you guys another RS500 update, and here we are. The car has moved. We have wheels. Obviously the engine is in there. The wheels have changed. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there are many other new parts, and we are inching ever so closer to getting this car started. We've had problems. We've had issues. We've resolved most of them. We found a new issue, which is what happens when you're putting a car together which hasn't been started or driven in 4 or 5 years. So let's find Jamie. He's actually over there. Let's put a mic on him and let's walk around the car. Jamie.
You all right?
I'm good. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time. Now, you eagle-eyed viewers that can see the side of the car would realize the wheels have changed. So in the previous episode, we had a set of Hockenheims that I managed to find off Facebook Marketplace. They were in a bad way. We got them refurbished. We thought they were perfect. But when Jamie stuck them on his wheel machine, found out actually there was no way that we could balance. I think one was really bad.
Yeah.
3 were okay, 1 was really bad. There's a wobble. Yes, we could probably have got it sorted, but we were both in agreement. Look, we're going to put a lot of power down, and the wheels and the tires are what are going to be gripping the road, more so the tires. So we thought, let's go in a different direction. So we now have a brand new set of Automotive TH1s, finished in silver, 17x8, and tires, Michelin 215/40 ZR17 all round. Good set of tires. It was very difficult actually to get tires of this particular size. In fact, we've hit quite a few stumbling blocks.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time trying to find some decent tyres for it. You could buy something that probably was a budget spec, but why would you put budget spec on a car that you've spent this sort of time and money on?
Correct.
So we managed to find some Michelins, we made the call, went with them all the way around, and I think it looks really good for it.
I think the car looks great. I actually think these look better than those Hockenheims would have looked.
They do, and like you say, when the wheels were on the balancer and we spun them, they were buckled in the actual drum. They were buckled side to side. There were flat spots. It would have you'd have felt it, no matter how well you try and balance that out. And some of them are that bad, you'd see it driving down the road. Plus, I don't think they would have passed an MOT.
Okay, well that was a good call. Expensive
Dan
call.
made the call.
Yeah, expensive call because I spent a pretty penny buying them and getting them refurbished. But it is what it is. Engine-wise, I think we're more or less the same, aren't we, from where we left off?
Yeah, engine harness is now on it. All the plumbing's finished. It's literally ready for power steering fluid, coolant, and a plug on the new fan harness. And then in the bay, we're completely done, plus a heat shield. We need to make a heat shield. And
we have a new filter, K&N air filter. Thank you very much to K&N for donating that filter for the cause. Appreciate that, guys. So engine-wise, we're nearly there.
Yep.
When is the ECU going in, or is it in?
So the ECU's in.
Okay.
The wiring's in, but Sam, the guy that does all the calibration, way above my pay grade, he's here end of this week or beginning of the following one. Get some oil pressure and turn the key.
So next week the fluids are going to go in?
No, the fluids are going this week.
Oh, okay.
We'll prime it for oil pressure, we'll get fuel pressure, we'll have all the coolant in it this week. So literally when it's ready for him to come, we'll put a battery charger on it and he can start calibrating.
I noticed on the Frontier,
yeah,
the grille.
We knew about it, and one of your eagle-eyed viewers picked it up that it had a mesh grill in it, and it was rubbish. So I managed to source one for you, fitted it. It does look a lot better.
And Dan has sorted out the towing eye.
Yeah, towing eye got bent, pulled off, just where it had been transported around, etc. So that's been repaired and remedied.
It's sitting a little bit lower. Have you tweaked the suspension, or is this as it was?
No, we've lowered it a fraction.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. You know I like my cars low.
We kind of guessed you wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Now, interior-wise, we don't have smell-o-vision, but if we did, that nasty odor that this car has had from the day I purchased it, and it was probably there for 2 or 3 years prior, is no longer.
No.
And you found out the root cause.
Well, we think it was the heater box. So when we took the dash out, we took the heater box out to put a new matrix in it, because the old matrix, shall I just grab it?
Yeah,
the old matrix had been bodged.
We have found a lot of bodges along the way, or should I say Jamie has found a lot of bodges along the way. It's expected. As I said to you in previous episodes, the car's been around the world, different mechanics, and sometimes when you can't get the parts, the easiest and the quickest fix is just bodge it. And I can't be doing that to this car. It's a special car. It deserves a lot more. And the amount of time, money and resources we put into this, it's got to be done properly.
It has with any car, but yeah, cars that are like this, there's no reason for bodging. There is.
There is, as I explained, if you can't get
parts. If you're out in the wild or whatever and you got to fix something, yeah, but then fix it when you get back, whereas all of these have just been left. So someone had snapped the pipe off the heater matrix and glued a fitting in there, which, okay, yeah, that'll get you back, get you home, whatever, but it's got no barb on it, it's the wrong size, and it was leaking when it was in originally, which is how we found that. We found that before we even knew the engine was an issue. So new heater matrix, and then Dan took the heater box part, and there was a lot of dirt, crap, rodent stuff in it. So it's all been taken apart, steam cleaned, all the flaps have been foamed, so even the heater box has been rebuilt.
And while we're on there was a bodge with the ignition switch, was it?
Yeah, a load of wires twisted off the back of the ignition, literally just twisted on the back of the ignition switch. No insulation, no chance of soldering, just twisted on.
Happy days. Before we get the car in the air, the brakes are on.
Yes.
We got a lovely set of AP racing brakes.
Ignore the front wheel nuts, we haven't put the correct ones on yet.
Okay, so the front wheel nuts will be changed, but you can see the AP racing calipers behind. The discs are in, the pads are in. Obviously rears we've painted red to match the front. Inside, the dash is out, it's all been taken apart. The wiring's been tidied up, although it's still obviously a lot to do.
It's a work in progress, yeah. We're not going to put the dash back in till Sam has been and we've powered everything up and made sure it's right. That's why the ECU is only cable tied in. I'm going to make a bracket for it, but it's like chicken and egg. I've got to have the dash back in to make the bracket for the ECU. It's got all its own new relay blocks, fuses, everything that runs on the ignition is all there and all brand new.
Right, so I think we need to get the car in the air and have a look underneath. So before we sort of get into all the components that you refreshed, one component we forgot to talk about last time were the hubs that we bought off Paul Limfoot.
Yep.
They were in a bad way.
Only aesthetically, they were perfect, apart from one of the steering arms had been in an accident, but you knew about that.
Yeah.
So we've corrected that and then restored them, put new wheel bearings in, obviously after a coat of paint and prep, and
I mean, they do look amazing, don't they?
All on.
Yeah. So front here,
yep.
Obviously the rad and the fan and so on, but underneath you've got the new oil cooler.
Yep, new oil cooler's in. Dan's made a duct for it. We've put it in a slightly different place to where it was originally, because originally it was really close to the tyre. Your power steering cooler's relocated as well, that's up at the front. All the pipe work for that's done. Then we put oil in it. Then we found out the original sump had a blowhole in one of the welds, hence the microfiber. So we've got to take that back off, find that, weld that up, and that'll be that. We've still got a lot of loom to finish routing. I'm waiting for a knock sensor and some connectors, but that is the end of the engine harness work then.
This is still an unknown area. We're hoping there should be no issues with the box.
Yeah. I'm not
okay, exhaust wise, I mean, look.
That was Cerakote.
Cerakote.
So the downpipe's been blasted and Cerakoted. Dan even machine polished the exhaust system.
Wow.
The prop's got a new centre bearing on it, and that's been stripped and checked, painted. The CV boots are all split on your drive shafts, so they've been completely stripped. CV stripped, washed, new boots, painted the drive shafts, all bolted back up and torqued up. Fuel tank?
Yeah, I can see a new fuel tank there. Well, I know about it because you told me about it, and you actually sent me a video, I think it was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When you took the fuel tank off and decided to see what the
we had our suspicions it was
old fuel would be like.
Going to be bad, because metal tanks that are left with a small amount of fuel in them allows the tank to rust at the top. If they're brimmed, they can't rust, but this had been left with a little bit of fuel in it, and the colour of the fuel we got out of it was like muddy water. So then we're like, okay, this might not flush. Pulled the sender out, at which point we knew we needed a sender.
I mean, that wouldn't do anything, would it? Look at it, it's just rusted away.
Well, the problem is you put fresh fuel around that and all of this rust will fall into it.
So unfortunately, Muggins here had to buy a new fuel sender, and again, it wasn't cheap. It's more expensive than that bloody knob that it's more expensive than that knob I bought last month. So yeah, I think the fuel sender was just over £400.
Yeah,
and it wasn't brand new.
Used one. We found a brand new one, but it was £1,000.
That sort of goes to show these old classic cars, while they're great, because the parts are no longer manufactured, it can get very expensive for second-hand parts. So that wasn't a cost that I'd envisaged, but had to be done.
The tank was 250 quid, but it's all the bits that go against
it.
But
all the pipes and so on that lead into the tank, have they all been changed?
Yeah, so your filler neck and vent line, Dan's restored them. I've modified the feed pipe to have a pre-pump filter in it now. So anything that's in the tank has to pass through a filter before it gets to the new fuel pump.
Oh wow. So this is not something that would have been there in period?
No, there's just a pipe that goes from there to the pump, which if you did have any rust or if there's dirt in that, it's all been blown out. But if anything gets in there, even the fuel you pump sometimes, say you put a jerry can's worth of fuel in it and a bit of paint from the jerry can goes in, it will go straight into your pump, whereas it won't now because it's got a pre-pump filter in it. So pre-pump filter, out of that through the standard filter, and then all the lines have been modified to AN lines, front and rear. And obviously we restored the cradle, new rubbers. Dan's replaced the wiring, so all the wiring is uprated wiring. So essentially the fuel system, bar the undercar lines, pretty much new, because the injectors are all new.
Yeah, it's all brand new.
Fuel pressure regs all new, new pump.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Taking it all in, and the costs. So in terms of diff, we spoke about that earlier on.
Yeah, rear cover's been off, all of the old oil which solidifies and can't get drained because there's no drain in these, there's only a fill. So we took the cover off, vapor blasted that, scraped up, and it was really like golden syrup, solidified oil. Got all that out, blasted the cover, new nuts and bolts, new uprated rear diff mount and new hardware, put it all back together with a new diff plug because the old diff plug, someone had rounded the hex out of it.
Standard.
Yeah. Basically just gone literally right through it, nut and bolt, apart from gearbox and diff internals.
It's a totally different car, you can tell.
Yeah.
Externally, engine, underneath, internally, it's a totally different car.
Yeah, I mean the shell and the shocks are original, exhaust original.
It's still an RS500.
Yeah, it's still an RS500.
We are now inching ever so closer to having this running.
Yep.
Next episode.
Next episode, we'd like to say it's running and we are ready for an MOT.
Wow. So I think we're more or less finished for today with Jamie and Dan.
Yep.
Car has come a long way. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to start it today, but in the next episode, the car will be started. I'm not sure if it's going to be road legal, but it will be started.
Yeah, if it's not road legal, it'd be really close to an MOT.
That will be in a couple of weeks, guys. But yeah, you can see the car's come a long way, and you can see how it was a year ago and that transformation and that transition to get it looking this good. And bear in mind, this car's not been detailed or polished. It's only been cleaned, but you can see she's starting to look like a proper RS500. We have some parts here. So I mentioned earlier on that obviously the engine here is a brand new engine, which we bought December last year from memory. But this is the engine and the block that came originally with the car. So I'm keeping that with the car. We've got all the bits and pieces there. So that will stay with the car. We've got the Cosy wheels here, which will be going back to the unit. So yeah, that's it, guys. Jamie, Dan, well done, gents. Loads of other projects on the go here. Somebody actually asked about Jason. That's Jason Plato's car, is it?
Yeah, it is. It's one of Plato's ex BTCC and ETCC cars.
And what are you doing to that?
That's having a full restoration.
Wow.
Yep.
So guys, another update, a big one, obviously, because we are virtually there. Any comments, any questions, drop them below. If I can't answer them, Jamie will, because he has been answering some of the questions and comments. We've come a long way. And I think all of you have enjoyed this journey, but we need to get this car started. So by hook or crook, the next episode, which will drop in hopefully 2 weeks, this car will be running. Maybe not road legal, but it will be running. So Guys, keep your eyes out for that one. Smash the like button, make sure you're a subscriber, drop any comments below, and I will see you on the next one.
I think it sits wicked.